We are continuing something that was started with the Franco-German government consultations, which continued in the summer in Toulon, now very specifically with one topic, namely the topic of digital sovereignty in Europe. We will also delve deeper into these topics with a bilateral discussion afterwards. With today's summit, we have implemented a joint initiative of the Franco-German Ministerial Council since the end of August. Germany and France want to jointly set impulses to strengthen Europe's digital sovereignty.
So together, we are pushing for a much more integrated digital single market. And it has been reiterated by both of us earlier by the capital market, and thus much more integrated savings and investment in Europe. This is absolutely vital if we want to succeed in the digital battle, whether it be AI, artificial intelligence, or quantum, because it requires a lot of resources, public and private investments. And so we precisely need this European simplification. More specifically, this summit allowed us to build two Franco-German convergences that we will now relay at the European level.
And I always advocate for giving data security more importance than data protection. We exaggerate data protection in Germany, but we underestimate the necessity of data security. And that could, with a good European solution regarding cloud infrastructure, also be a good offer to the citizens, also to the companies in Europe, that we protect their data, but that we also want to jointly utilize the data.
What did the President just mention mean by this preference for European providers? What is commonly meant by European? Because that is a form of favoritism that the federal government has not supported so far. And are you now in favor of a digital tax similar to France? Because that would create competitive equality compared to German providers, or at least the US platform must participate in the financing here.
Yes, Mr. Rinke, the discussion in the federal government about such a levy has not yet been concluded.
We have an action that ranges from the local to the international. And so, for this aspect, the approach we have adopted in the fight against terrorism is the one we continue to implement, which is a local coordination by our services so that all cases are examined with the complementarity of all the resources implemented by all the administrations. We have established, with the narcotics trafficking law, a headquarters for the fight against organized crime and now a specialized prosecutor's office.
Could you update us on the current situation? And if I could briefly request a reaction from both of you on the alleged attack in Poland on the railway line.
In Warsaw, Russia is being suspected behind it. To Poland, to its president, to its government, and Prime Minister Donald Tusk clearly expressed a condemnation. I think we need to clarify who's responsible, but it's clear that this is hampering supply chains today. And so we're in the midst of providing support, and some answers are already being given. But this reiterates the constancy that must be ours in our support for Ukraine, of course, in every capacity. What does Europe need? In terms of defense as well as digital matters. By the way, I echo the Chancellor's words, repeated several times, and pardon this paraphrase, Friedrich, scale simplification standard. And he is absolutely right. If we want Europe to be stronger, more sovereign, we need to operate at scale, we must simplify, and we must have common standards. In terms of defense, we both believe in a much more integrated policy. The problem we have seen is that both of us see is that when we look at the standards in all areas, from missiles to aircraft, there are many more standards in Europe than in the United States. In this regard, the decision we made on the future battle tank and the future combat aircraft is among the most structuring decisions in terms of European standardization. So I think the political decision is good. ND, is it simple to implement? No, because we're asking people, industries, who are competitors for the rest of the day, to do something together. So that there are frictions doesn't surprise me.
To make an assessment, but there are some indications as to in whose interest such an attack might be. And in that respect, the Polish government is probably right with its assumptions. And in this sense, it fits in. Whole series of acts of sabotage that we have repeatedly seen in recent years, even in Germany, including the incidents involving drone overflights, which are certainly also attempts at espionage, quite especially from Russia. The Russian government has partly admitted quite openly that they organize such drone overflights. I will discuss this with the Polish government again in the coming days. I will ask them if they have any further insights into where this attack comes from. But the suspicion is more likely to be confirmed than refuted. As for FCAS, we have already had a long discussion about it this year, and we agree that we want to make a joint decision by the end of the year before we then enter phase 2 of the development of this fighter jet. Based on the decisions we made with each other, there are also different requirement profiles for the aircraft. The French Rafale has different specifications than the successor of the Eurofighter. In this respect, we will discuss this in the coming days and then make a decision on how to move to the next phase of this project.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the US will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HD videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.